Morning. Happy Friday. What a week it's been so far, right, Jeff? Like, we've had some amazing guests on Sales Chatter. Things have been blossoming. I think it was the first day of spring on Monday. So we just looking forward to just keeping that momentum. So this is Sales Chatter, the logistics podcast where we aim to help 10,000 reps hit a million GP. I'm your co-host, Ryan, aka the Logistics Monk. With me is my main man, President and CEO of RGTX Logistics Solutions, and the Bodacious Cowboy, Jeff Dickinson. How you doing this morning, brother?
Good, my man. I'll tell you, this week went by fast. I can't believe it. We're almost finished with empowering women into business this past week. And, we have actually two more guests joining us. So, with that said, let's just get into it. Let's go.
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
And you're correct, Jeff. Being able to speak with different women who are just killing it in their industry right now, and just to hear the different tips and tricks, every single thing, and the lessons. But the one thing I've learned, Jeff, is that even though we're in different industries, we do face the same issues and the same positive and the kind of doubt that we always kind of put into our minds as well. So this morning, we have an amazing guest. We're excited to introduce you to Sara Delaney, the founder of Sarilla, an alcohol-free botanical beverage company, as well as the founder of the nonprofit organization Africa Healing Exchange. Sara is a lifelong entrepreneur and a global activist. She founded Sarilla, an innovative company that creates delicious, amazing beverages. I've personally been able to try some of these sparkling tea beverages as well, and they're amazing. And I'm not a pot person at all, so I definitely recommend everybody to definitely try that out. Operating between Vermont, West North Carolina, and Rwanda, Sara has been alcohol free since the age of 28. And that's the one thing that I've learned, Jeff, personally, especially with the Super Bowl that just happened.
Hmm.
I was fasting from meat and alcohol for religious purposes during that time. And just to see the influx of alcohol free beverages that are out there, it's amazing to kind of see that people who want to make that change. And Sarilla is definitely one of the top companies doing that. So, with that being said, I know that she's launched Sarilla for because we need that premium non-alcoholic beverage out there for people because there's so many times I remember I've tried different drinks and things like that and they don't taste so well. It's like protein powder, right? You get what you pay for. So if you get those Walmart protein powders, we all know. I'm not. It looks like we won't be sponsored by them anytime soon. But with that being said, it's amazing to kind of see the quality that goes into it. So with that being said, not just with Sara coming on today, we have a powerhouse. We have our best friend. We got Lisa joining us all the way from California, and there's not enough words that we can say about Lisa, but I know she has kind of put us onto Sara and the Sarilla as a product as a whole, and it's something that we're looking forward to having that discussion today. So, without further ado, Jeff, we are going to welcome Sara and we're going to welcome Lisa onto Sales Chatter this morning. Good morning, friends. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good
Awesome. Great to
morning.
see you. Thank you, guys. Morning. Happy Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us out of your busy day. I'm sure I know we have a lot to talk about. So let's just get into this. I'd love to find out more about your business, your trip to Rwanda, the relationship that you've had with Lisa, and also the relationship that Lisa had with you. So please, platform is yours.
Great. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that introduction. That was really generous and you definitely did your homework. I really enjoyed what you said about the Super Bowl and just trying to make like healthier decisions. It is exciting to be really on this wave of a growing demand for alcohol-free beverages or alcohol replacement. There's lots of different terms being thrown around right now in the industry to even define this category. So I know that can probably be a little confusing for some people, but we are through and through like a sober led brand as well. So this isn't for me in my life. It's not just a trend. It's not just something that we're doing because it's profitable or it's, really popular right now. it's great that it is. But I've been living this lifestyle for almost 17 years. And when I quit drinking in my 20s, it didn't feel cool at all. It was definitely something I was even embarrassed about. I really thought my social life would be over. I wasn't married yet. And I remember thinking, like, what am I even going to drink at my wedding? Like, how am I going to have fun? No champagne ever again. Feeling sorry for myself, ashamed, just like really down. And so it's so awesome today to see that people are trying this lifestyle out, whether it's like alcohol free or just trying to moderate or reduce, just because, for health reasons, different reasons we all have. And I'm just excited that, like, no longer is it something to hide. Like, it's actually, there's so many great ways to have fun without alcohol. So we're excited to be part of the movement. And we have 6 flavors. We've now recently done a line extension. So we have a couple of new botanicals, and they're caffeine free, calorie free. So I love drinking them in the evenings because I have a Tulsi chamomile, which really calms me. It has adaptogens, and it helps me sleep at night. And it's also like got this great dry finish, which goes really well with meals. It serves as a nice white wine replacement. It looks like champagne in a glass. So if we're out with friends, we still feel like we're fitting in. It actually adds like social comfort for the whole group.
And that's the one thing, social group is really important because in social settings, I know last week was St. Patrick's Day across the world, and I remember my days of young days, and you're just having the green beer, you're having all that stuff, and then you wake up to a horrible hangover. And for me, it was nice to actually wake up Saturday morning and actually take my dogs to the dog park bright and early without having that hangover there. And it's really important. I know Sarilla being a women-owned company, and that's something that I think there's so much power to. And it's not just a women's only company. Like, you guys are winning awards. I know you guys won best packaging last year. And if you guys take a look at, I got a couple cans here in the back here, but if you take a look at the product, it's well done. It's in the, see, there we go. And that's actually my favorite flavor right there. It's not just the, see, and we got everybody here. Jeff is missing out. Sarah, you did an amazing TED Talk. I looked at it about 10, I would say maybe like 10 to 15 times. And it's something that I aspire to be because I'm taking Toastmasters right now personally, and just to kind of see what you've done. And for anybody we'll throw some clips and the link in the below as well. But it was talking about it takes a village, how community is the antidote to despair. Can you tell us a little synopsis of what that TED Talk was about, what it meant to you? Because it was done a couple of years ago, and the lifelong impact that it's had up until this day.
Yeah, it's really interesting that that was the last in-person TED Talk on the stage before the pandemic hit. I know they've come back since, which is great. So it's kind of interesting that my whole talk was about building community. There's a line in it that says, fill the well before you're thirsty. And that's not my original line, but I think that was really important for us to head into that very, for a lot of people, scary time. It could have been isolating for some people, to really feel that we had a community. It's so important that we build that network, whether it's for business, personal, it's all connected as far as I'm concerned. And when I moved to Rwanda in 2009, and in retrospect, I think I was really on this searching journey. I was really looking to return to my true self. And I had quit drinking a couple years before, and that helped me to start really tuning in to who I was, who I wanted to be, what I needed to heal from my past in order to really live my best self, my best life. And quitting drinking was just one of the things that I did to start that journey. And then moving to Rwanda helped me take it to the next level, because I knew that the women in Rwanda who survived the genocide and experienced the most unthinkable, like incomprehensible things that I couldn't even imagine, that I had watched in documentaries. I knew if they had, were able to overcome that, then any of us could overcome anything. like, as sad as it is, right? We all have a story, we all have a history, different traumas. We can't compare one trauma to another. It's all relevant, or it's all relative. But um, I went there to learn. I went there to learn about the human spirit of resilience. And people thought, "Oh, you're so, you're so kind. Like you're going to like be of service and build this nonprofit. Like it was some charity." First of all, I don't really believe in charity. Like to be, frank, I think like emergency services in crisis times are definitely serve a purpose. But I think if we have like going back to the it takes a village, everything's an exchange. And I know even on this platform, we're going to talk about that, like partnering together in the industry. It's always got to be an exchange and not one person always taking or one side always giving. And that was the spirit of my trip and moving there. So, yes, I've been offering some support services, some seed funding, emergency relief, and mentorship. And in exchange, my life was completely changed. And I've been able to tap into my purpose and my passion. And I just showed up there and I was like, okay, God, higher power, like, what do you have in store for me? I had an open heart and open mind, and I felt completely at home when I arrived in Rwanda in 2009.
And that's amazing. And what I saw in the speech, Sarah, was that I think on a future trip. You landed in Africa the day that Obama won, I believe, his presidency. So just can't even imagine the emotions that are going through there. For amazing to see the continent that Obama came from and his family and so on. So
Mhm.
for you, actually, I would love to get, because I know you guys do from crop to cup an annual trip to look at sustainability and the supply chain. And Lisa, I'd love to get your opinion on your thoughts because you actually took that trip. So can you give a little bit of details of what that trip looked like, what it means to you? And I know it's only been a couple months since you've been, but what do you feel right now as you've done that trip?
Right now, everything that Sarah just said, it's like going back to kind of my decision making process of getting on that plane and going to Africa. I'm on this journey of finding my purpose and can it have a play in me, choosing to stop drinking 2 years ago? How does that play out? And what are the lessons I'm going to learn? And so that was, I was feeling just super, I don't know how to describe the word. And like I wrote some notes down. Just one of the things I didn't talk about last week on the call here was the some of the specific moments, and the most impactful day that we had, Sarah, was when I felt like it was a jam-packed day, but we started off going to the sewing co-op women. So we got up, we were just super jam-packed, met with these women. That was amazing to see everything that you've had a hand in there. We picked up uniforms from another local co-op for the women, the farmers, so that they can have that prideful feeling as they're working in the farms. And then after that, we met the women from the farm. That was thrown in kind of on the fly the night before, to have them meet up at a fancy hotel. And we wanted to empower them, not show them how to do it all, but show them what's possible. They didn't even know that their local tea could, they didn't know the impact that locally, how much of an impact them locally and what they're doing can have in their local community. And so we were helping to show them and empower them. And Daniel was sitting around the table, and when we had tea served to us, he was our translator as well. And he said, they are excited, they're empowered to work harder, just for locally. And so it was just an awesome day. Later, we met with the Rotary president of Rwanda. And then at the end, we went and had dinner with Daniel and his family, where I had brought an entire duffel bag of clothing. And hand delivered all that for their family, and just that feeling of joy. It was like I've never felt so happy and excited. Like I got tears in my eyes. Like it was just an incredible experience, and that was the most impactful, empowering day we had that out there. And I talked about it on LinkedIn as well. You can check that specific day, but that was super special to me.
You know, Lisa, you you've been following the show for a long time, and I can read people pretty well. And just a moment ago, it seemed to me that you were getting a little emotional.
Yes.
How important is your relationship with Sara and what she brought to you and what you brought to her?
Very, very important. I am excited where our future is going together, how we can collaborate in creating win-wins, exchange of freight referrals, and then bulk tea exchange, and how I can share with my network success of Sarilla. And it's not even because she's a freight customer. Like I didn't have my initial outreach to her to try to get her freight business. It was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about what you're doing, and I have to meet you, was my intention.
So that relationship is much more special than a business relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
And
a friend and a mentor, and yeah, I mean, very special relationship.
so it takes a leap of faith to grab your bag, leave your family, get on a plane, go to another continent with a business partner to see exactly on the ground what's going on, what's happening, a different lifestyle. What did that all mean to Lisa?
Just like the world is massive, there's opportunities out there. You want something, you go for it, take it by the reins and go and take that leap.
And that is like spectacular, to kind of see that connection. And one thing that I've noticed is that Sarah, you're always Sarah, and both of you actually, that you're always willing to give back. Whether it be you talk about an exchange, and one thing that we believe here in karma as well. You give that exchange, and something's going to come back when you aim to serve someone. Our show is focusing on empowering women in business, and we get a lot of self doubt. And I can the conversations that we've kind of had as well is that whatever doubt I might have as a male, it's probably like 10x with a female, whether they be a mom, they're trying to figure things out, and the stories that we've heard. Sarah, can you share some advice that you would have for someone who's trying to figure out what they really want in life, and what the path, because you took the path of going to Rwanda, being affected by the genocide that happened, went to Rwanda, helped the people by managing a restaurant out there as well. Can you give some tips to somebody who is maybe in that limbo?
Sure. I can only share from my experience, and I think I touched on it. The first step for me was checking in on what are the blocks that might be there that are kind of obvious to remove from my life first, that might be cutting me off from that guidance system or that intuition. And so for me, it's anything that's even closely resembling addiction. It's unhealthy relationships. It's really looking at people, places, and things in my life. And are they helping me get a step closer to my goals and dreams, or are they taking me a step back? But to be clear, not blaming anyone. We're not putting the responsibility is 100% on me to make those changes in my life. But I think that's important for someone if they're sitting in a situation or some kind of addiction or unhealthy relationship or home life, to kind of look at, where do I have the power in this? Like, what is something, because sometimes we might feel like helpless, like it's like survival mode. I mean, I have a child as well. Like, I know I was a single mom. I left his dad like when I was still pregnant. So it's like, I know that feeling. And I really didn't have any financial resources. It was terrifying. It was survival mode. But it's taking little steps to get more clear as to who I am, and where do I have, some kind of power. Because I think when we feel like powerless in life, that's really hard to climb out of. But there's always something. I know I used to do a lot of trauma healing work with our nonprofit, and we used to talk about building a place of resiliency in our body. And when someone's in so much pain, whether it's emotional or physical, just looking for one place on our body that we feel okay. And it might be like the tip of our pinky toe, just like, and focus on that one little like tip of my pinky toe. And like, if you just focus on that and build upon that, I really studied a lot of positive psychology as well. And then for me, it also helps to really get clear on my why. Like, really, what is my why? And I always come back to that with my business, because it's got to be really big. It's got to be bigger than myself. There's got to be a service component to it. And the bigger it gets, the more there is to lose, and the more people the bigger our community is. And so I guess for me, that's really helped. And then, I mean, to be honest, like, I have this acronym from recovery. It's HALT, and it's hungry, angry, lonely, tired. It's very simple. And if I'm having a day, I'm like, I check in on those things, like, keep it simple. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Like, maybe I just need a walk. Like, maybe I just need a good night's sleep. Sometimes that's all it takes to have like a fresh new set of eyes for the day. And then definitely, like, my son and I talk about this. He's 12 and he's just like aspiring baseball. He loves baseball, so passionate. And he's on this team right now. And he said the other day, Mom, everyone's better than me. Like, they're all older, taller, better, whatever. And he's like, he has such a good coach. He's like, and that's a good thing, right? I was like, oh my gosh, that is so, because you always want people who are a step ahead or more skilled or something in the room, whether they're your mentor or not. Like, we have to be around people that we aspire to, or, that have something that we want, like, in a good way. Because we need to learn from them. And I think, other people, if you're the smartest person in the room, there's a problem. Like, you need to keep moving.
I love that. And, whatever we can do to get your son playing for the Braves, we will definitely try our best to definitely help it.
Like
But
that.
yeah, from there. And it's really important that you said that. Those are amazing points of, you're never always going to be the best person, but even if you are for some reason, then you're in the wrong room. And always seek guidance and mentors. And actually, that actually segues into my next question for you. When you were figuring these things out, figuring out Sarilla and figuring out the nonprofit and things like that, did you have a mentor guiding you along the way? Or is it something that, I'm going to take my steps, as you were kind of talking about? I'm going to take my step. Oh, maybe that door was locked. I'm not going to try that door, but let's try another door. What was your mindset with that?
Yeah, I think, part of my recovery in sobriety is I do the 12-step program, and that's part of my daily life. And it's been, I already told you how many years. And part of that model is step 12 is service. Step 12 is sponsoring someone else, and I sponsor other women. And I've always had a sponsor, and so that idea of a sponsor, that's what we call it in AA. It's ingrained in me to have that mentorship model in every area of my life. I have different mentors for different things. Like, right now, the mentor I'm working most closely with is my brand strategy advisor. And I just lucked out, like, connecting with him, and he's been working with me for over a year and a half now, and went through the rebrand and the new logo design and everything. And he's had a career in beverage and advertising, and ironically lives in my home state now. And it's been an amazing relationship. And before that, but I have mentors for different areas. Like, I work with women in different things. And I would say Yeah, so when I was first getting started with the business though, like 2016 is when I registered, and I just had like so many ideas. There were so many things I wanted to do, so many products, so many like sectors. Like I I connected with a couple people here in Asheville who were very successful entrepreneurs and had exited businesses. And I remember this one meeting with someone. We were at a coffee shop, and I just kind of I brought like a big bag of all this stuff. Like Lisa will relate to this because you come back from Rwanda with all these things like baskets and clothing,
Earrings.
earrings and fabrics and tea
Bags.
and coffee, and I was like dumped it on the table. I was like, this
I'm
is
gonna import and export everything African.
yeah. It was just like I dumped it on, and he was just so patient with me and was like, okay, let's focus. Like, let's look at the systems, the business opportunity as well, not to be spread too thin. And then I was guided into a local. It's called Venture Asheville, which is where I live, and I think every city has one. It's sometimes through the Chamber of Commerce, and they help nurture and support startup entrepreneurs. And so I started meeting with 3 mentors each month. And they almost served as like my board, even though I didn't have a board yet. And slowly, we started like letting go of different products. And it was so painful. It was like, oh, because I wanted to do all those things. And the basket weavers were like, right. So they just helped me. They're like, if you don't focus on like one product line, you're never going to do anything really well. You're going to, you're just spread too thin. Like you got to think of the resources you have. And I had like also that nonprofit service mindset. And I still think that's important, but I had to also make that turn of like, okay, if I'm not financially successful, like if we're not doing really well financially for all stakeholders involved, whether it's investors, me personally, obviously our partners in Rwanda, and everyone else, we have no business here, right? Like this is not another charity. Like we need to create a successful business. And I want to be a role model for other aspiring entrepreneurs and women who maybe haven't seen that many models that we can do good. Well, we can do good things with a successful financially profitable business. So that it definitely was necessary for me to work with mentors back then, and I've stayed with some of them the whole time, and I think there's mentors for different stages in our life and in our career. And sometimes we outgrow and then we move on. And I love to mentor. I'm about to start mentoring a young woman now, and she was introduced to me by actually one of my distributor supply managers. She's like, hey, like we have this new supplier, and she's still in college, and her products are going nationwide, and she could use some support getting started in the industry. And I was like, I didn't even hesitate because so many people have given so much to me, so much free time and free, like really heart-centered guidance along the way. So I have to be careful about not saying yes to too many people because I don't want to, feel bad that I'm not fully showing up. But I definitely work with a couple people all the time.
So, Sarah, as a woman-owned business, what is the biggest obstacle that you faced that most women face jumping into a new business? And how would you help somebody to get over those obstacles or barriers that you had to go through?
I think that the biggest obstacle is within myself. And I'm really grateful that I grew up in Vermont with I don't know, kind of like a bootstrapping family and lots of like small business owners, not a lot of money, but my mom placed a lot of importance on good education. I went to an all women's college in Boston called Simmons, which I'm eternally thankful for, because at that school, it was drilled into me that we even have this book, it's on my shelf called The Female Advantage. And it was drilled into me that there were benefits in business to being a woman. So I went, my first job was in mergers and acquisitions with all men, and then my second job was in finance with all men, and now I'm in an industry mostly men. And so it's hard for me to say, like, I've never seen it as a disadvantage or a weakness, but I think my biggest work and biggest challenge is feeling like my voice isn't as important, or that I'm not as smart. And that's something I know I'm very smart, but it's something I've had to overcome mentally, is like not feeling smart enough. I don't have that whole like I'm not good enough. It's like I want to be like as heard. As heard. I have let my voice be overpowered in the past. And I think a lot of women do that. It's not that people are necessarily overpowering us in the room, but there is a dynamic there. So I think it's different for everyone. I think a lot of, unfortunately, like I think it's important that we understand the stats. Like something like 2% of startup capital, like VC funding, goes to women-owned businesses. But there's a context behind that, and it's, I think just seeing a stat like that on its face is not really that important. I think we can get really caught up in those really low numbers, and that can hold us back. So it's like, okay, interesting. That's data. That's information. It's unfortunate if there are women out there not getting the same opportunities and they're trying just as hard. But I'm not going to sit in that place for very long, because like we're moving, like we're growing, we're moving forward, and like there's no looking back. So if you want to come with us, then come. Things are changing, and there's some really awesome funds now of VC funding going towards women-owned businesses. So I'm excited to see that.
And I love like exactly what you said there, especially with, get on the ride or, stay behind, and it's really important because it goes to show that the leadership is there. And I follow Alex Hermosi a lot. I love his content and everything he talks about. And he's all about getting up there and scaling up. The one thing with Sarilla is that, and he's always kind of preaches that you got a good product, you work on it and you come up with a great product, people are going to sell for you. And I can test that. I've never met you yet. I haven't even met Lisa yet, and I love the product, right? So it's amazing to kind of test. So we're gonna ask you guys a couple more last questions, just some fun questions here as we're gonna be wrapping up today's episode. For both of you, where do you see Sarilla going? Where do you want it to go? And yeah, I'll just start with both of you on that question.
You want to jump in?
Sure. So where I see Sarilla going is one global brand, but just going nationwide. Once people are aware all over, and understand the mission and what you're all about, like I see it being the number one tea product out there. It's, how can you not?
Yeah,
and changing lives and giving back to organizations, to different groups, encouraging women or moms or anybody to quit drinking if that's what they want to do. Help them to make that happen. If they're, like I said last week as well, if they're curious at all, like to just help them feel welcome in a community and you're not alone here, and help encourage others to kick the habit.
Yeah, our tagline is nourish your inner power. And so my dream, my vision for Sarilla is that not only will we become the category captain in stores and wherever we're sold. I mean, we want to have the velocity there. We want to be successful with all of our retail partners. Beyond that, that it becomes an icon, that it becomes a symbol of hope and inspiration, especially for young women, to tap into their inner power and to feel like they have the options and alternatives in life and to feel like they do have the choices. And I got this email. I was at an event last week. I just wanted to read a couple lines because we won a pitch competition last week, which was really awesome. And one of the women who took some samples home, she's a mom, and her daughter is in high school. And she says, um, of course, there's the teen and college kids coming of age that might not want to start drinking, but they would like to have something fun and like to look cool with it in their hand instead of the pure pressure of their choice of water or Diet Coke. My daughter was excited about it and thought it looked like a hard seltzer or a sunshine. She wanted to get some to share with her friends and to serve at their next high school party. Having something cool and new and healthy, all a big deal at this age. She's a competitive athlete and watches everything she puts in her body and will not usually do anything but water. But not only did the product interest her, and her friends are all mission focused, and the idea of helping Rwandan people and survivors of atrocities just put it all over the top. She's also very artistic and loved the look of the can, your signature and personal message, the way you called out the benefits. And we're going to be sure to get some at her next party to share. And like messages like that just make it all worthwhile because that's exactly our target audience. And they get it. And I didn't even meet her and she gets it because that's the way we have to scale. Like, I'm not going to be everywhere to be able to tell the story. We need the story to shine bright from our logo and our can and just to help people feel like supported throughout their day.
See, let the product tell the story, and that's important for any entrepreneurs out there. If you're launching something, let the product sell for you, right? You don't have to explain what it is. So I think that's extremely important. I've kind of shared with you my thoughts, especially on the Tulsi, being Hindu. That's like a super plant for us. So it's amazing to see these things come to fruition. Last question for you both, and it's not for you guys to answer. Like, we're not going to ask you this question. It's to kind of hook you guys to bring you guys back on a future episode. But what is a question that we did not ask today that you hoped that we asked? And I'll start with you, Sarah.
Well, I guess I wished you asked just more about the freight part of this because I know, that is where a lot of people are coming from. And um, I was attracted to Lisa. She talked about, what she was excited about with our brand and our relationship. I was attracted to her from her like freight is fun posts on LinkedIn, and it really does feel fun. Like I have to say, when I first got into, and I guess you didn't want an answer yet, but it is something I really enjoy talking about now that I probably 5 years ago definitely didn't. And I mostly, without answering the question, just want to shout out to everyone involved in freight, like at every level. Like when I was a kid and I used to see Mack trucks on the highway, my mom said I'd be like, "Meow, meow, I love you." Like I've always loved it. I don't know why. It's just you all have like such an important service to offer, and I think sometimes it gets overlooked. But we're moving things all over every day. Like it is what keeps the business going. So I just want to say thank you to everyone.
Agreed with that. I have memories of driving by and getting them to do that as well. So, yeah, that's a good question, guys. I don't know.
You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I will tag you later on, I promise.
Huh? Maybe a question like, what would you be most afraid to talk about that you think could benefit other women the most? And
I love that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hook you. We're gonna hook you both. So we're gonna bring you both on for just freight. We're gonna just talk straight freight for like 25 minutes, and then we'll answer Lisa's question on the next episode. So with that being said, where can people get this amazing drink? Promote. Let everybody order cases and cases of Sarilla. Let us know.
Yeah, well, tell me what you want the code to be, and I'll create it in, within 60 seconds of getting off. and we'll give folks a discount if they order at drinksarilla.com. Sarilla like gorilla. We didn't talk about that either, but we can come back to that. Drinksarilla.com. There's a sampler pack, which is probably our most popular right now because you get to try one of each of the 6 flavors. If you just can't wait and you need that 48-hour shipping, it's Amazon. And we benefit from that as well. So go to Amazon. We have a branded storefront there. And then, I know that we got the product to Canada, so that's awesome. And in the US, we are sold in retail as well. So you can there's a where to buy store finder on our website, and definitely go out and support our retail partners if you can. Thank you.
Awesome. And we'll put the link below throughout the whole show. We'll make a little thing there. So definitely support Sarah's mission. It's amazing. Like I said, definitely check the TED Talk. I think it was something that is inspiring to everybody. If you just go to that TED Talk alone, I want to thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedules to spend it with us and our amazing audience today. If you found value in this, which I know you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Share this with your neighbor. Share this with a friend. Share this with the Amazon driver who's bringing your Sarilla straight to your door in the next couple of days, in 48 hours. So with that being said, we'll be hitting the replay again at 2 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Want to thank our corporate sponsor, Daman at Centurion Trucking. If you're a sales agent and looking to make a move across the world, he's paying agents up to 60%, and he's an amazing guy looking for basically people who put people over profits. So you don't want to miss that out. That being said, thank you both again. Cowboy, take us home, my man.
Yeah. So, spark just went off in my head. I was like, how did the name Sarilla come into play? And now I got it. It has to be Sara and something to do with gorillas. And she just put it together and named it Sarilla. Am I close?
Yeah, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll see Lisa's photos with the gorillas because she actually got to meet them.
I did. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today to end a fabulous week. We appreciate you coming on board, Sara, as well as Lisa. It was a great week. We definitely want to have you come back, and we will talk about freight with you one day for sure. So with that said, thank you so much to our audience for supporting us and following us every single day on Sales Chatter Live, a daily podcast at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see you on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care. Bodacious Cowboy out.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.